Let's talk about trends. Greetings, my name is Nina. Welcome back to my channel. Recently, I came through a lot of videos on YouTube regarding publishing trends. I'm not going to address what these trends are. My focus is on a bigger picture that a lot of people do not notice, I think. In short, I do think that people tend to focus on wrong things. I do want to start with one thing. In the past, only certain voices could be heard, and now nearly every voice can be heard, and this is a good thing. I really want to start with the positive. This is absolutely amazing. Anyone can be the hero, anyone can be even the villain, anyone can be a supporting character, you name it. Different stories and different points of view. Wonderful. Sounds good, right? What could possibly go wrong? Well, everything. You know, one thing that disappoints me, and this is one of the reasons I do not read the 99% of books that booktubers and booktalkers they recommend. I've talked about this a lot. Said books, they tend to be promoted through the lens of trends and cliches. And I do not like it. I clearly do not like that these days, well, especially in fantasy, I heavily dislike the fact that certain fantasy books are promoted via, oh, this book has this cliche, or this book features this certain character that looks like this or acts like that, and you name it. Or the other way around. This book has no characters who look like this or act like that. I think you got the point. I'm deliberately not naming anything here. Make your main characters whoever you want. May them be from whatever social group you want to. That's totally okay. I'm not against it. What I am against, however, turning offset characters into a trend and sacrificing everything that makes a good story just to cry about the trend. I clearly do not like the fact that these days trends they dominate over the good stories. I do not like that. I do because as a writer myself, my allegiance is to storytelling and writing and not to trends. I really do not like that good stories are sacrificed for trends. But here's the best part. Trends are going to die down. You know what's going to remain? Good stories. Because trends and come and go, good stories stay. Okay, a few words in defense of trends. I'm not saying that trends can't bring new good stories. I'm not saying that trends can't bring some interesting ideas on the table, not saying that. But apparently, authors and especially publishers are following the trends blindly, and the result is that nobody wants to read books anymore. Yeah, people they complain about wrong things. I really do not understand how people think that if a book written in 2025, if it reflects whatever is relevant at the moment in terms of the world, then it's an automatically a good novel. I'm gonna make a shocking statement here, but whatever is relevant at the moment isn't the component that makes the book good. Okay, so let's imagine this situation. You are a writer and you want to write about whatever is relevant at the moment. Alright, that's not necessarily a bad idea, good for you. But here's what you have to know about. What is relevant today can become irrelevant tomorrow. And as a writer, it's better to write about things that are always relevant. And in order to write things that are always relevant, you need more subtlety and allow the reader make their own interpretations. Yeah, right now in April 2025, as I'm filming this, something is relevant, something is a problem, there's something people talk about, and then May comes along and everybody forgets about what was relevant in April. I actually find it absolutely ironic that the louder people scream about certain issues, the quicker they tend to forget them as time passes on. Write whatever you want, but think twice before you decide to write about whatever is relevant at the moment. Because tomorrow it may become irrelevant, and even if something stays relevant for a long time, the book still needs to be written very well. Yeah, this is the problem that I see with certain modern books, because they focus on the wrong things, promoting some really great plots, characters, settings, the writing, you name it. The books focus on absolutely wrong things, on things that the majority of readers do not care about. Well, cliches are not a good way to promote a book. It makes the book formulaic, bland, and in case of people like me, unreadable in the first place. Okay, let's take a look at my bookshelf. I have a lot of bookshelf tour videos on my channel. Each book that I brought home, each book that I brought it home thinking, this sounds interesting, I wonder what this book has to offer. You got that right. This is how I select books, and what makes the books stay on my shelves is its rereadability. Okay, I've talked a lot about this, and I do not want to repeat the same things over and over again. The reason I'm filming this video is that above all I'm dedicated to good stories and good writing. No matter the genre doesn't matter. Fiction, non-fiction, fantasy, horror, thriller, sci-fi, you name it. All of these genres have books worth reading, and this is the best thing that you can say about the genres. Formulaic books and books that focus on the wrong things, they give genres or even authors themselves a bad reputation. I'm not going to name anyone here because I think you have seen a lot of videos on YouTube regarding the topic. The reason I'm just wanna say that good stories shall prevail. Obsession with whatever is relevant at the moment and with cliches, it's a trend. It's going to pass. Trends come and go, good stories stay. And here is also one thing that probably is going to disappoint a lot of writers, but I'm not addressing them, I'm addressing you, the reader. You are not going to remember whatever was relevant at the time of writing unless the author wrote it very well. But you are definitely going to remember whether the book rocked or sucked, because no amount of authors' personal views, biography, or anything, nothing is going to come before solid writing. And if the writing sucks, you are going to remember that, and you are not going to care about whatever the theme was important to the author. You are not going to remember trends. Yeah, this is shocking, but trends are not going to last, and writing about whatever is relevant at the moment, it's also a trend and it's going to end. So let's come together and read good stories above all else. And even if there are bad stories, you know you're reading a bad story, then at least there has to be something fun about them. It's like watching a movie, you know it's going to be bad, but you are going to laugh about it. But it's still fun nonetheless. And that's basically all I wanted to say here. To hell with the trends. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little video, this little rant. If you are a writer, think again before you decide to write about whatever is relevant at the moment. But if you do, I do recommend reading Fredrik Backman or Alice Oseman books. Their books are very well written. You read them and then you think, oh, this is actually one step ahead and it's written very well. I recommend reading these authors, even though Backman and Oseman, they do not write fantasy. They're still worth reading. Oh, before we finish, there is one thing that I forgot to mention. A lot of writers, they justify writing about whatever is relevant at the moment by saying things like, oh, but fiction is based in real life, yada yada yada. I can definitely tell you from personal experience that when you write a book, the real life, it becomes secondary to writing your novel, and even if real life does have an effect on fiction, in short, real life affects fiction only to the extent the author is letting it to affect the book. At the end of the day, the imagination and creativity, they matter much more, because imagination and creativity not only can enchant the reader, but they can also be one step ahead. They can show different perspective, because who wants to parrot the same things over and over again? For example, if you write a fantasy book set in some medieval-like world, this doesn't mean that you can apply the real-life medieval morality to the book, and even if you do, the medieval morality wasn't exactly what George R. R. Martin described, because there was more to medieval society than just betrayals, not caring about peasants, and so on. Yeah, there's more to medieval society than just the negative side. Yeah, it's easy to imagine a medieval society, but you could imagine a different morality than the medieval one. You could write something and think, oh, this can go on like this, or the other way around. Because there are so many ideas, especially in fantasy. Who is going to tell you how to write your own story? The story is yours, you are the one writing, you are the one who makes up all the social rules, and you name it. Use your imagination and creativity. And above all, be exciting. Avoid being boring. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time. Goodbye.